What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Singapore. We got Max Holloway going against the Korean Zombie.
I need all the wins, yeah, harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video. This week, we are breaking down a 13-fight card in UFC Singapore, a card that I think is very good. It's going to be starting very early for us Americans on the East Coast. The card starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. But you best believe I will be up at 5 o'clock in the morning getting ready for my girl, Liang Na, to go out there and put up a fight for at least 2 minutes, but, put up a fight nonetheless. I'm not missing this card. I think it's a very good card. I think there's a lot of violence, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it overall. As always, we're going to talk about these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you guys want a more in-depth breakdown or why I like which fighter, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video on Monday, so be sure to check that out if you haven't. Lastly, I do want to shout out the winner for last week's contest. Last week, we did the prop contest where you comment your best plus money prop, and you guys had some good answers, but the winner was ultimately Cole Stein, and he had the Aljo O'Malley fight to end in the second round by knockout at plus 1,000 on FanDuel Sportsbook. So shout out to you, Cole Stein. I was able to hit you up, get you your winnings, and then you also cashed that beautiful fight ends by second round knockout ticket at plus 1,000. So shout out to you. I'll be doing more contests in the future. And last, if you guys could please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It is much appreciated. I'll be going live for my final thoughts video Friday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So, and I wanted to get this video out somewhat early. I tried to get it out as early as possible. A couple books just took forever this week to get lines out, so had to wait, push it back, but finally was able to get everything in. All my bets are locked in, and I'm ready to go here. So, we're going to kick off the card, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be Sungwoo Choi going against Jarno Aarons, and yeah, maybe I'll wake up at like 5:30 because I don't see myself being too excited for this fight. This is a fight where I'm not really high on either guy. Jarno Aarons looks to be a very popular dog this week. This money line has just crashed down throughout the week. I saw Sungwoo Choi at like minus 190, minus 180 on Sunday, Monday, and I was like, I mean, I like Choi to win, but I don't really want to lay this much chalk on him. I just don't trust Choi as much anymore. This was a guy who I was once high on, not very high on anymore, but at the same time, I'm not high on Jarno Aarons whatsoever. So, this is a fight I want nothing to do with. I think this fight probably goes to decision. Sungwoo Choi probably does the better work across 15 minutes on the feet, but I just can't trust Choi. I can't trust the striking defense. I can't trust the chin. I can't trust the fight IQ. But at the same time, I just don't like Jarno Aarons. So this is going to be a pass for me, passing on the first fight of the night. Next, we have my main event of the evening, and it's the second fight of the card. I wish they would put this on the main card, but we're watching it as the second fight. We got Liang Na going against JJ Aldrich. And yeah, shout out to Propaholic. It was Monday or Sunday even. Propaholic was blowing up my phone, and I got to thank him for it because the under 2.5 was sitting at minus 105. It opened up like minus 300. It crashed all the way down to minus 105. I was able to get in at minus 110. I put 2 units on it. If Liang Na was fighting anybody other than JJ Aldrich, I'd be max betting the unders here. The fight doesn't go. But, JJ Aldrich isn't much of a finisher, but I'm not sure that matters here just because Liang Na is a fighter who has been to decision only once in her career, and she has 25 fights, a 100% finish rate in her wins, and she has been finished in 5 out of her 6 losses. She has 2 minutes of cardio. She's a great hammer and the worst nail ever. I think Liang Na is going to have an opportunity to go out there and finish JJ Aldrich, but I think it has to be very early within the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds. For what it's worth, JJ Aldrich has been finished twice in her career, but if Liang Na is not able to finish the fight in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, she's going to tire out, she's going to wilt, and I don't think she has the cardio to go 12.5 minutes. So give me the under here. Obviously beat some line movement on it. I still think it's very generous where it's sitting around minus 170, minus 180, and the fight doesn't go at minus 200 is not a bad parlay piece this week. It's just hard to imagine Liang Na going the distance in a fight ever. So give me the under here. Next, we got Yasaku Kinoshita going against Billy Goff. I do have a bet here. I like the Kinoshita side. I think it's a good bounce back spot for Kinoshita here after he disappointed in his last fight as just a massive favorite. Everybody was on him, and now it seems like everybody's on Billy Goff this week for the most part. This line has just crashed down throughout the week, and now Billy Goff's plus 120, Kinoshita's minus 140. I like Billy Goff. I think Billy Goff's a dog, but Billy Goff is a guy that just leaves so many openings. He's very, very hittable. This is a guy that's getting hurt, dropped, 10-8'd in pretty much every single fight he's in. Like, even fights he's winning, this guy's getting knocked down. We saw on the Contender Series and honestly many other fights outside the UFC as well. So Kinoshita is very, very dangerous. Kinoshita is a guy that is if he hurts Billy Goff, I'm just not sure Billy Goff is going to be able to recover, come back, take that Homer Simpson approach like he's typically able to do against some of these lower level, less dangerous guys. So I'm going to say Kinoshita does find the finish here. I have 1 unit on Kinoshita to win inside the distance, and I got it at plus 120. It could have went with the knockout prop, but Kinoshita does have a couple submissions on his record. I think he has 2 or 3 subs on his record. So I think knockout is most likely, but just want to take the inside the distance to cover another angle there. All right, next we got Rolando Badoya going against Song Kenan. I do have a bet here. I have a half unit shot on Badoya to win this fight by knockout at plus 205. And I went back and watched the Chaos Williams fight. And first off, he showed a lot of toughness, a lot of durability. I think, if there's finishing this fight, it is coming on the Badoya side just because this guy's next level durable. And Song Kenan's a guy that has been knocked out 4 times at this point. Got knocked out by Ian Gary. Not a good look. Got knocked out by Max Griffin. Definitely not a good look. Rolando Badoya, I was watching that Chaos Williams fight, and he was landing some big shots on Chaos Williams. And Chaos Williams is a guy with incredible durability. Chaos Williams, I don't believe, has ever been finished. And I was just thinking to myself, man, if Badoya lands these same big shots on Song Kenan, this guy's going down. So I think that KO prop is pretty generous. If you want to be a little bit safer, you can take the inside the distance. I think the inside the distance is around plus 115. But I think it's more than likely going to be a knockout. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls, and I trust the guy with the legendary durability in Rolando Badoya. Next, we got Olezczuk going against Jiandouani. I like violence here. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. I think this is going to be a very, very fun fight where both guys are going to get the fight they want. Typically guys are looking to take both these guys down. These guys have been submitted in a lot of the losses, and these guys can be taken down. They can't be controlled, and they can, the ground game is kind of a problem on both sides. But this is a fight where they're each, strikers. They're going to strike. They're going to throw down. On the feet, Chidi's going to be much bigger. He's going to have probably the power advantage, whereas Mikel is going to have the volume advantage, and he does really good body work as well. I think somebody's going to land a big shot here at some point, whether it's Chidi and Jiandouani early, or I think Mikel Olezczuk could potentially get this done early as well. But as the fight goes on, I actually kind of favor Mikel Olezczuk down the stretch. But I think somebody's getting knocked out here. The play I like is the fight ends by knockout on BetRivers Sportsbook. Minus 162. I have 2 units on it. I think it's a good way to get this violence prop down. The fight doesn't go is minus 280. And you take a look at these guys and their records. They have 1 submission each, and they have like 50-some fights combined. So I don't think a submission is all that likely. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. I like the fight ends by knockout. 2 units, minus 162. Next, we got Garrett Armfield going against Toshiyami Kazama. I'm taking the under here. I have the under 2.5 rounds, 1.5 units, minus 145. Striker versus grappler matchup here, although Armfield can grapple a little bit offensively. Defensively, his grappling does leave a lot to be desired, and all 3 of his losses, it's due to either getting subbed or taken down. We've seen him sub twice in his career. Toshiyami Kazama, good wrestler, very, very good grappler. I think if Kazama gets this fight down to the mat, he will have the grappling advantage, and he will be dangerous, and his sub will be very live. But on the feet, it's Armfield all day just because Kazama does not have great striking. Defensively, leaves a lot to be desired, and obviously his chin could be a concern because he has been knocked out in 2 of his 3 losses. So I think it could be Armfield by really KO or sub, more so leaning KO. But Kazama, I think Kazama is very live for a submission if he gets the fight down to the mat. Give me the under 2.5, minus 145, 1.5 units. Moving on, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta going against Lucas Brzeski. I like Waldo Cortez Acosta here. I think a good way to get this price tag down could be the Acosta round 3 or decision, which is sitting at like plus 115. on DraftKings Sportsbook. But yeah, don't have a ton of interest in betting this fight. I'm not high on either guy at all. Not high on Waldo Cortez Acosta. I will be looking to fade him again in the future, like I did when he fought Marcos Rogério de Lima. I do think Waldo Cortez Acosta has a lot of holes in his game. Obviously, the leg kicks and the takedown defense is a big question mark still. But is Lucas Brzeski going to be the guy that's going to take him down to the mat? Maybe he might try to. I just can't trust the cardio of Brzeski across 15 minutes. I think Acosta wins, but I think this could get ugly, greasy, and I think it could be a little bit close. So it's a fight I'm going to be staying away from. Next, we got Junior Tafa going against Parker Porter. I like the Tafa side here. And I actually was one of the few people picking Muhammad Usman in the Junior Tafa fight. But Usman is a guy that's just so physically strong. He can wrestle. He's shown the ability to wrestle in the past. He hadn't done it in a while, but he had that in his back pocket, right? And he came in there with a great game plan. Parker Porter, he has some wrestling. I'm just not in love with his wrestling. He's completing takedowns at like a 20% accuracy. Hasn't had much success at all, getting fights down to the mat in the UFC. I think he took down maybe Chase Sherman. He took down Alain Badoya, but those guys both have just atrocious ground games, and maybe Tafa does as well. But I just feel like at some point in this fight, Junior Tafa is going to land a big shot. In the Usman fight, the fight was at range for less than like 3 minutes. It was at range. And every time that Junior Tafa was landing a shot, you could see that this guy has a lot of power. Every time he landed a shot, he was getting a reaction out of Muhammad Usman, and Parker Porter is just not durable. Parker Porter's been finished in all of his losses, 4 by knockout, 3 by sub. Junior Tafa hits like a truck. I think Junior Tafa knocks out Parker Porter in this fight. I have 1 unit on the Junior Tafa knockout prop, plus 115. Moving on, we got Aaron Blanchfield going against Taila Santos. This is a pass for me. I know it's actually funny. You go on Twitter and you see people max betting Blanchfield, and then you see people max betting Taila Santos. I mean, this is not a fight that I would be max betting personally. I'm very high on both of these fighters. I don't have a good read on this fight. I'm not sure what is going to happen. I think whoever wins these wrestling exchanges is going to win the fight. I like what I saw from Blanchfield on the feet against Jessica Andrade. It's just a fight I want nothing to do with, especially laying chalk in this fight. I'm very high on Blanchfield, as everybody is, but I'm also very, very high on Taila Santos, and I don't want to completely counter out. I think Aaron Blanchfield absolutely has the higher ceiling of the two. Aaron Blanchfield's only like 24, 25 years old, whereas Taila Santos, she's 30. So I'm going to sit back and watch this fight, see what happens. I won't have any money on this one. Next, we got Rinya Nakamura going against Fernie Garcia. And I do have a bet on this fight. So I was going to look at like the Rinya Nakamura. It's like a same game parlay. Rinya Nakamura money line parlayed with the under 1.5 rounds. And it was like minus 160, minus 155, minus 150. I think I saw at one point but on DraftKings, but that line's gone now. And then I looked at the under 1.5 and it was like the same exact price, if not a little better. So you might as well take the under 1.5 if you like that route. If you're of the opinion like me that, Rinya Nakamura is just going to run through this guy. Fernie Garcia has never been finished. And, that definitely is a talking point this week. But you look through Fernie Garcia's record and Fernie Garcia's not fought anybody like Rinya Nakamura. Brady Heastand and, Journey Newson. I mean, Rinya Nakamura would finish Brady Heastand and Journey Newson both in the same night and both in probably less than 60 seconds. So, I mean, Fernie Garcia has not fought anyone as dangerous as Rinya Nakamura, and I just would be fairly surprised if Fernie Garcia was able to last 5 minutes, let alone 7.5 minutes against this guy. So I don't think this fight should be sanctioned. And respect to Fernie Garcia for fighting. I mean, if I was Fernie, I would have pulled out by now. But it's just a horrible, horrible matchup. Rinya Nakamura can knock this guy out. Rinya Nakamura can submit this guy. But all together, I think Rinya is going to dominate him. It's not a hot take. I mean, he's minus 900. But to get that price tag down, I like him to finish this fight under 7.5 minutes. Give me the under 1.5 rounds. 1.5 units minus 155. Next, we got Giga Chikadze going against Alex Caceres. Nothing much sticking out here. I do like Giga Chikadze. I think this is a very winnable matchup for him. Stylistically, a good matchup going against a guy in Caceres who is a black belt but doesn't use it, doesn't typically look to get the fight down to the mat. So these guys are probably going to strike for 15 minutes, and when they do, it should be Giga Chikadze being the better striker overall, landing the better shots across 15, and probably winning a decision. I thought an interesting way to play this was maybe like they have the double chance, the decision or sub double chance at minus 125, just because Alex Caceres. This guy's like stupid tough. This is a guy has 34 fights. He's only been knocked out once. Like when he's getting finished, it's by submission. And we did see Giga almost submit Edson Barbosa a couple fights ago. So, but I think it's definitely more likely a decision for Giga Chikadze. Decisions plus 120. Or plus 100. I don't hate that. But no bet for me on this fight. Next, we got Ryan Spann going against Anthony Smith. Weird fight. I don't know. I mean, I'm picking Spann, I guess. I just can't trust him. I mean, both these guys are just not durable at all. If you got in on the under 1.5 early, I think that was a great look. I don't know if I love it at minus 200, honestly. But yeah, I think this fight probably does finish under 7.5 minutes. I lean towards Spann ever so slightly, but it's just Spann's a guy that's just, I don't know. I can't get a good read on the guy. He's kind of inconsistent. He's kind of fragile. But I just don't like how Anthony Smith's been looking in his last couple performances. Weird fight, a fight I just want to kind of stay away from, passing on it. Next, we got Max Holloway and Korean Zombie in the main event. And yeah, this is another fight that I just like the Nakamura fight. There's 2 fights on this card that I don't think should be allowed to be happening. And then this is another one of them. I mean, this fight makes no sense. Apparently, this is the Korean Zombie's retirement fight. He came out this week talking about how this is probably his retirement fight, depending on how it goes. And breaking news, I mean, I think it's going to go pretty poorly for him. So he is probably going to retire. The Korean Zombie, one of my favorite fighters, legend of the game, one of the fan favorites. But this is just a terrible matchup. I mean, Korean Zombie has just clearly been on a decline his last couple fights. I mean, the Brian Ortega fight at this point was like almost 3 years ago. I mean, he looked awful in that fight, getting outstruck across 25, dropped multiple times, hurt multiple times against Brian Ortega, and then against Alexander Volkanovski, just took another life-changing beating across the couple rounds. The ref was forced to step in. I was not liking how the Korean Zombie was reacting to some of these shots. And, the Korean Zombie was a guy that was once next-level durable, right, like the Zombie, but I think that durability is definitely starting to wane here, and I just don't imagine a world where the Korean Zombie eats upwards of 150 to 250 to 350 significant strikes, because Max Holloway can put up those numbers. Very popular play this week is the Max Holloway 4-5 decision. I think that's a solid play. I don't hate it. What scares me about that is Max Holloway's coming in here with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Everything going on with Hawaii, very emotional this week. I think he's going to want to go out there and put on a spectacular performance and get that finish. So I think this fight does finish. I do think it's probably like either a corner stoppage, a cut stoppage, or just a ref stoppage where it's like, I mean, this guy probably shouldn't take much more damage, right? So, I mean, this is a fight that, again, I don't think should be happening. I don't like the Korean Zombie's chances in this matchup. I don't see how he wins this fight. He's not going to take down Max Holloway. He's not going to out-volume Max Holloway. He's not going to knock out Max Holloway. It's just honestly, it's a tough matchup for the Korean Zombie. So what I did is, like I said, I don't mind that 4-5 decision, but I did sprinkle the Holloway 3, 4, and 5 round props for a quarter unit each. Holloway round 3 plus 700, Holloway round 4 plus 900, Holloway round 5 plus 1100. Not the best numbers in the world. They're definitely all over it, but they're all over it for a very good reason. I think this damage is going to add up across 25, and eventually I think the ref's going to stop in and step in and say that's quite enough. So give me Max Holloway to get it done inside the distance, round 3, 4, or 5. All right, there you have it. Yeah, so these fights are starting pretty soon, so get your bets in. Best of luck, everybody. Enjoy the violence, because next week in UFC Paris, there doesn't look to be any violence whatsoever, but next week for Paris, there's a lot of live dogs sticking out, so I could see myself having like 3 or 4 moneyline dog bets next week. So yeah, next week's looking good already. I've dug into the card a little bit, but yeah, looking forward to this card here. Should be an absolute banger. Looking forward to waking up, watching some violence, and it should be a good time as always. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and best of luck for UFC Singapore. See you guys later.